Hello, I wanted to come to you quick before I start my solo episode for this week, kicking off February. And first of all, it has been a month. It's been a month of Magic Mind. And for those of you who are joining me on this journey, I would love for you to comment below and let me know how you're doing. Because as you can see, I took my shot. I have to take it every day in the morning because my schedule sometimes starts at 7 a.m. and then it doesn't end sometimes until 9:30 p.m. So therefore, I need to be energized, but also focused as well as calm throughout my workday, which is why, see, this is what it looks like. Just this nice little mental energy. I call it a mental energy elixir. That's what I call it because, again, it helps me stay calm but focused. And I've never really felt more focused than I have this year because I am consistent with taking this each and every day. So I hope you will join me as well. And of course, they're offering my listeners a discount. So for those of you who want to get up to 48% off your first subscription or 20% off of your one-time order with code CGCO, of course, it's in the description below. Again, at checkout, you can claim it at magicmind.com, CGCO20, and you'll get 48% off of your first subscription, or you can get 20% off of your one-time purchase. So trust me, take a chance and be energized, but also be calm and focused. Now let's get back to the interview this week. I'm excited to share some strategies on how to declutter for a cause. Hello and welcome to Got Clutter, Get Organized, the conversation. And of course, it is just me and you. And today we're going to be talking about decluttering for a cause. That means when you declutter, you already know where you're going to donate the items that you're no longer using or no longer needing. So I'm excited to share this topic with you because this is something I'm passionate about. When I purge, I already know beforehand where it's going to go. So let's get started. These are just kind of 8 things that you can really think about as you are decluttering for a cause. So the first thing is, of course, when you declutter by donating to specifically home items, you are really improving the quality of life for people who may not be able to afford some of those items. And there's always a controversy between where I should donate and how I should give things away. Sometimes people just want to give them away without people having to pay for items when you donate them to certain organizations. And of course, the best way to do that a lot of times is just really putting it outside, putting a sign on it and saying it is free, and somebody who could use that item just comes along. But sometimes you do, because you just have so much, you do want to give it to an organization. So first of all, you have to identify what you have, but then sometimes where you need to give it. Now, for example, clothing. One of the places I always love to give to is, of course, Dress for Success, Career Professionals. There's so many different names for them across the country and around the world. And these are organizations that actually provide work appropriate attire for people who are returning to the workforce. I still remember years ago when I volunteered and I was like what they call a dresser. Someone would come in and I would help them find an outfit for an interview, but then also when they got the job, and I would help them again get 3 or 4 pieces so they could just kind of get started. So that's one place for clothing. And also look for places, if, for the men in your life, give them, let them know that they can do the same as well. Now, of course, for books, a lot of you have already shared with me that a lot of libraries take your books. In some areas, I know where I live, we have those cute little, it almost look like a little birdhouse, but it's the free library where people in the community just put books they don't want. And of course, if somebody sees a book that they want, they can just take it. And it's just a beautiful exchange. It allows people to really purge their book collection, but then it allows those who really are into reading really get a book and not have to pay. And of course, the electronics. Now, there's always really safe ways to recycle your electronics, but then there's also organizations who really train people on how to repair and refurbish those electronics as well. So there's a place that you can actually donate those. And then, of course, your furniture. A lot of times, I always call on Habitat for Humanity, and specifically one year when I was just ready to get rid of all of the Christmas items I had because I was moving to a smaller space. I didn't have space for a 6 foot tree anymore. So therefore, it was really nice to be able to give to that organization. And also, I gave some additional uh, items to a thrift store in my community because I knew they were up and coming. So it was like my way of just giving it inventory to them so they can be sustainable. And then, of course, food. A lot of times we have bulk and we buy things and we may never really use it. So look for those food pantries. And again, I just love my community because they actually have a little house where you can put non perishables in. So a lot of times I will put items in there for people to take as well. And I still remember the one time it was. And sometimes, like I had this jar of jam. I love the jam, but unfortunately, I was unable to open it. So, and after trying several times, I said, you know what? I'm just going to put it in that little house. And lo and behold, somebody actually, after I put it in, they were like, thank you, thank you. And that really made me feel good. Not that I was doing it for that kind of gratification, but I said, you know what? If I can't open this, I know there is somebody out there who can. So that's what I did. So that's number two, just identifying what you have and where you go. And then, of course, just make sure that whatever you donate aligns with your values. Um, I love animals. I am not a pet owner. But I took my old flannel sheets and donated them to the local animal shelter so that the dogs would have a nice, soft, comfortable, warm space. So when you begin to really think about the things that you want to donate, what are your values? I've donated things to some women's shelters. Of course, I said animal shelters. So begin to think because that sometimes can be that motivator that you need in order to really help you purge and get rid of things. And of course, one that I really want to talk about, which is here in Philadelphia, is Cradles to Crayons. Their mission is to provide children from birth through age 12 living in low income situations with essential items they need to thrive and new and gently used clothing, shoes, books, and toys. So, begin to like, where are, especially those of you who are parents, you've got these clothes, you've got these toys. Where are some of the places that I can actually donate these things? And then number four, tips for decluttering. And basically is really when you start going through making sure that you do have a trash, but you have a donation. Because a lot of times the things that you may want to donate may not really be usable anymore. So just put them in the trash. And of course, there's different organizations that will take sometimes your um, used items. For example, I take my fabrics and old clothes and things like that nobody can wear. I take them to H&M. But there's also other organizations as well. But begin to really think about, okay, when I declutter, where are these things going? Is it trash? Is it usable? So that's what you do. Of course, trash, usable, and of course, as you're purging, you want to have things you want to keep and you can organize them as well. And make sure, again, the items are in good condition when you are actually going to give them away. And then make sure you label them as well. And make sure you schedule time to actually do the donation. Because a lot of times we go through the purging, we already know what we need to give away, but then it never really leaves our house. And then, of course, also, you know, think about sometimes those smaller charities or even sometimes the smaller thrift stores, those that are just getting started because you're providing inventory for them. You're making them so they can be sustainable. So think about that as well. I mean, we all know the big name ones. What about the local ones? Because I have actually a local one in my community. So I really do a majority of my donating to actually that organization. Because one, well, it's within walking distance, so there's really no excuse for me not to get rid of my things, but also I know it's going to a good cause and it's helping people. And, also number 6, and I'm going to go through all of these again. Think about getting the family involved, specifically the kids, and of course, maybe the men as well, because a lot of times these organizations, they need men's clothing, but it's not a lot of donations made. And then the kids, teach them how when they receive things, especially around their birthdays, the holidays, any type of celebrations, that, hey, let's look at 1 or 2 items that we can actually donate. So think about that. And that will get them in the habit of when they begin to know they're receiving a lot, then they can actually donate things as well. And of course, a lot of you are thinking, okay, Janet, I hear what you're saying, but I really don't have a clue. Well, that is incorporating technology to make it a lot better. And that is basically, there's sites like Declutter and also Give Back Box. That's what it is, Give Back Box. And I'm going to make sure I put these links in the show page. Is that these are places where you can type in your zip code, or a lot of times they will really share with you how you can really donate things and where you can donate them. So that way it'll make it a lot easier for you to actually give things away. So I want you this month, because actually this month we're in the second month of the year, begin to just pick one area, either your closet, maybe your pantry, maybe the basement, maybe the attic. Just pick one area and then begin to maybe go into one box or one container and begin to think, like, what do I need? What can I get rid of? Instead of trying to overwhelm yourself and trying to declutter and purge everything, one area. Maybe it's the closet. Again, maybe it's the basement, maybe it's the attic. And even in those spaces, what is one thing, one area things I can get rid of? And also, I want you, because all of you out there, a lot of you are crafters and DIYers. Are you using everything? A lot of times in our effort just to kind of take up hobbies and crafts, some we really love to do and some we no longer do. I used to be involved in, a long time ago, when photo albums were popular, I would decorate them. I would decorate them and give them as gifts, and people were even buying them from me. But after a while, because technology changed, people weren't really into photo albums anymore. Then what I started doing is I'm like, well, do I really need this stuff? So I started looking around. A lot of things I've realized that a young woman who was actually into sewing could use a lot of my materials, so I gave them to her. Then I knew somebody else who was still doing arts and crafts and DIYs and things like. I gave her the rest of the supplies. So sometimes we can look within our circle, within our community, and there is actually someone who is actually could use what we actually no longer use, and it's taking up space in our home and as well as in our lives. So I wanted to share that with you. But just to recap everything, number one, just, remembering that you are changing someone's way of living just by giving stuff that's been sitting, hanging, collecting dust in your home and your life. That's the first thing. Identify what you have and where it can go. So if it's household items, maybe there's organizations that give people a fresh start. A lot of these organizations are helping people with a fresh start. So think about that. Number 3, and also, how does the donations align with your values? And as I shared, those old sheets that I no longer wanted, I said, you know what? I love animals. I'm not a pet owner, but I love animals. So let me just give the pets a nice, comfy place to sleep and stay until they're adopted. And of course, number 4, making sure you declutter and effectively for your donation. So you do have trash things that are just unusable. You have the donations, and of course, once you have the donations, you schedule time to make sure that they get where they belong. And of course, thinking about the charities. Yes, there's the big charities. There's the Goodwill, there's the Salvation Army, but what are some of the smaller charities in your community that could truly use your donations and truly benefit from them? Number 6, get the family involved, get everybody involved. So everybody's going to get rid of one item, just one. You don't have to make it a massive, we've got to get 10 items, just one, because that one may turn into 2 and then eventually may turn into more. And of course, number 7, making sure you incorporate technology. There's a lot of apps now where you can just kind of find out the donations that actually align with your values and that are close to you in your community. And my call to action is, again, just figure out what area you want to focus on. Is it my closet? Is it my basement? Is it my attic? Just one. Just one area. And even in those bigger areas, just one box or one container. Let's see what we can get rid of in this month. So, again, I want to thank you so much for joining me. And of course, do not forget to make sure you take advantage of the Magic Mind offer. Again, make sure you take advantage of the Magic Mind offer because, as I shared with you before, I just love it. I feel more in control. I feel more focused. And I've got so much more energy. So make sure you click the link below to take advantage of that offer. So again, until next time, you have a clutter-free day. But most of all, you have an organized